In this video, I'm going to be walking you through how to calculate percent yield. So yield is just a fancy way of saying how much of a substance is or can be produced. So yield is broken down into two types. We have theoretical and we have actual. So we have theoretical yield and actual yield. Theoretical yield is the maximum amount of product that can be formed from the given reactants. So this is based off of calculations. This is what we have been doing in the past assignments in Unit 8. You've been able to convert from mass of one thing into mass of another given a chemical equation. So if we have the mass of the reactants, we should be able to figure out what is the mass of the products that can actually form. And our actual yield is the amount of products measured at the end of an experiment. So this is based on lab data. So theoretically, we can calculate how much product we should form, but when we actually do the reaction, we don't necessarily produce that exact amount of product. This is like if you're making a recipe, if you're baking cookies and it says you should be able to bake 24 cookies with this recipe, and once you make all the cookies, you really only were able to make 23 or 22 cookies. That 23 or 22 would be your actual yield, what you actually made, and then theoretically, based on their recipe calculations, it should have been 24 cookies. So percent yield puts these together. It's the actual yield divided by the theoretical yield times 100. So once we know our actual yield and our theoretical yield, we can figure out our percent yield. What percentage of our theoretical yield, of our proposed yield, actually formed? So let's say we're given this following reaction. Zinc is reacting with hydrochloric acid and we're producing hydrogen gas and zinc chloride. So zinc is a metal, and let's say we dump in extra hydrochloric acid. So let's say we have 4 grams of zinc with extra hydrochloric acid. The hydrogen gas will bubble off and it'll leave behind this white powder. That's the zinc chloride. So we're starting with 4 grams of zinc, and after the whole reaction and all the hydrogen gas bubbles off and you're only left with zinc chloride, we measure that and we find out that we have 7 grams of zinc chloride that we have created. So that 7 grams of zinc chloride, that is our actual yield. That's what we actually created. So in order to figure out our percent yield, we now need to find our theoretical yield first. In order to find our theoretical yield, we need to follow our mass-to-mass conversion path. So if we're starting with the mass of zinc, we convert it into moles of zinc first, then moles of zinc chloride, and then finally the mass of zinc, or we'll end up with the grams of, zinc chloride. So pause the video here and try and solve for your theoretical yield. So I just want you to notice, I slowly filled those in. The red conversion is the molar mass of zinc. So that's to get from mass of zinc into moles of zinc. And then my orange conversion is the mole ratio of zinc to zinc chloride. And then my yellow conversion is the molar mass of zinc chloride, which is what I wanted to end up with. Then I rounded to one significant figure, so that 8 grams of zinc chloride is my theoretical yield. So now I can calculate my percent yield by doing my actual yield divided by my theoretical yield. and then I will multiply this by 100, and I get 87.5%. And if I want to stick with one significant figure, I would round to 90%. So I have about 90% yield, which means of my expected product that I expected to form of zinc chloride, about 90% of it actually formed during my lab experiment. So that's my percent yield.